Hello.
Hey
Hi.
Miriam, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Where are you calling from?
Portugal.
Portugal. Did we talk? We've talked
Yes.
before, right?
Yes.
Okay. What's on your mind?
Well, I don't know. I just came here, but I was wondering, um, so I appreciate that you like talk about the conflict and like try for people to understand Israel's side, since most people don't like really know the history behind and just take like emotional response to like what they see in the media. I think that you do a great job, but what do you think that someone like me, um, who's Jewish and European can do? Because I study international relations and I really don't know like how do I use my voice to make like Europe, at least Portugal, more pro-Israel. Because like I don't say anything. I stay quiet. And like my whole university is all for Palestine.
So I had a question like this recently from somebody in Texas, somebody who actually came to one of my lectures, and she was telling me like I don't actually know what to do and how I can stand up for Israel, and I live in a pretty anti-Israel place, and I don't know how I can. So I think the number one thing before you decide if you even want to use your voice, and that's also a conversation, is you need to get very educated on all things Israel and Middle East. You need to really understand what you're talking about first and foremost. And I know you're studying international relations. I would also say it requires a level even deeper than that, which is physically traveling to Israel multiple times, talking to different ethnicities, understanding the makeup of the Middle East and what really went wrong here. Um, so I would say, first of all, educating yourself to the point where you have so much confidence to speak on the topic. The reason I have so much confidence to speak on this topic is because I've done the work. I've done the hours, I've put in the hours to go and meet with different communities. I've traveled in and out of Israel, in and out of the Middle East, around the world. I really understand the makeup of what I'm fighting against, and I can argue it and confidently represent what I'm talking about because I've put in the hours to talk about it. Not everybody has had that opportunity yet, and sometimes out of the goodness of your heart, you just want to represent Israel or protect Israel or defend Israel, and sometimes you don't have the full knowledge to do so. So, first recommendation would always be go and radically educate yourself. All things Israel, all things Middle East, all things Mizrahi Jews, all things Ashkenazi Jews, Ethiopian Jews. Understand the makeup of what everybody went through really well to the point where you're so confident you remember the numbers, the dates, the history, the facts. Now, I'm not perfect in this matter. I don't remember everything, but I remember a lot, enough to be able to argue and debate this stuff. And once you have everything, once you have lined up all your ducks in a row, and you really have all that knowledge deep inside you, and you feel confident to defend it, then you need to decide: do I want to use my voice? Do I want to educate people behind the scenes? Do I want to start an organization? I mean, there's so many different avenues of doing it. I really believe in people to people advocacy. So, something that I employed over the course of my 10 years traveling the world when I wasn't like an open advocate for Israel is I did behind the scenes advocacy. It's passive advocacy. You let people know about Judaism, the Jewish people, Israel through the kindness that you do, through the small things, through inviting people over for Shabbat, for dinner, showing people how you pray, music, things like this. Passive things that don't involve politics. They don't involve you having to curse or get on camera or argue or debate. I really believe in that. And um, I think if more of us were sort of ambassadors for the true Israel, for the true Jewish people, and not just one facet of the Jewish people in the West, we maybe would have had like a different um, uh, PR battle we'd be fighting now. So that's kind of my, I would say, advice on the matter. Hope that's a good answer.
Yeah, I think it's good. Well, I am converting to Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I did, you said to educate, and I'm doing that. So I think I'm on a good path.
You're on the right track.
Um, yes. I had only one discussion, like publicly, in my class.
Mm-hmm.
So we were doing international law, which is one of the most important classes we had. And I had this, it was not a fight, but it was almost like a fight with my teacher because at first I was like, how do I say? Like he was nice to me, so I kind of got like No, like I don't know how to say in English. Like I just decided that, you're nice to me, then I'm going to do this. And so I was not afraid of him. And I discussed with him this because, he was very pro-Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and talked about what happened in Portugal and Spain
Mm-hmm.
against the Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't really know. And I asked him, he was talking about genocide, right? He was talking about genocide of this and that. And he was talking about the autodetermination of the Palestinians, that the Palestinians had the right for their autodetermination. And I told him about, do you think that the Inquisition was a genocide? And he was like, uh, well, that's debatable. And I told him, but don't you think that forcing everyone to convert to Christianity and wipe off their identity and destroying all their heritage, like all the synagogues, everything, isn't that genocide? Isn't that cultural genocide at least? And he was like, yes. Well, how can someone be pro-Palestine and like not even acknowledge that their own country did this to the Jewish people? To me, it's very confusing. But after that, he stopped talking about for Palestine. So I hope I did at least something.
Good job. I'm
And
proud of you. Very good
another
job.
thing I do is I wear my Star of David inside the university because I really don't care. It kind of shows people that I'm not afraid. And I noticed that they also stopped talking less about Palestine. For example, we had a lot of debates, and last day we had a debate, yesterday actually, we had a debate about international institutions. Are they still relevant? And there was a against side and a in favor side, and I noticed that people didn't really use Gaza. I mean, sometimes they did, but they didn't really use Gaza as like an example, or like they didn't really talk much about Palestine. And in other debates before I started wearing my Star of David, they would always talk about Palestine, like it was the most triggering thing, like they would get their eyes wide open and they were like flaming. But now I noticed that they don't really talk about it. I don't know if it's because of me, but I mean, it's a bit suspicious. I don't know.
Well, good job nonetheless. I would say keep educating yourself, keep getting more confident, and I appreciate you calling in. Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you.